I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, August the 27th, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Increased feed efficiency, decreased feed costs, improved conception rates, increased average daily gain, and increased weaning weights. Get the blue tub. Visit Vitalix.com. What about Kansas? Packers haven't bought hardly any cattle this week. Of course, they bought some in the northern plains, a lot more than they bought in the southern plains, and the northern plains is trading at a significant premium. Of course, it's mostly been regionals doing the buying. Your major packers are resisting the 130. They put their foot down. They won't give it, and they're trying to get something bought significantly lower than that. And not getting it done. I mean, we've had a big standoff here, it's about as big as we've had for a long time, and your major packers are just saying that they don't need to buy any negotiated cattle. And that is exactly why we need a minimum negotiated trade mandate, and I don't care what percentage you put it at. I mean, just get something, anything you can get, and keep it flexible and adjustable where we can move up. We know that we can't get to 50-14. We need to get something less, but let's get it while the iron is hot. Cattle, just because of sheer supply and demand, cattle prices are coming up, and the irons are going to cool off here if we don't get something done right now. We've got legislators out there that want something to vote on. They want to come back to their rural communities, to their agriculture sectors, and show them that they've tried to do something to fix this. Let's give them something to vote on, and I don't care what it is or what level. We need some kind of a level. But if we had minimum negotiated cash trade, your guys in the southern plains especially, they could turn down a bid and not have to worry about retaliation. They could turn down a bid and know that they're going to hear from the packers again later in the week because they know that they're going to have to meet some level of negotiated trade. But it's ridiculous. Kansas has sold 500 head so far. Meanwhile, Pratt sold 2,400 head of feeder cattle on Thursday with active, competitive, negotiated trade right there in the sale barn. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas sold 2,500 head of feeders and in similar conditions. And I've told you guys a million times, as long as we continue to buy feeder cattle in a competitive negotiated trade in an active market and sell fat cattle in non-competitive, non-negotiated means, this feeding cattle sector is screwed. But we continue to see tight numbers of market-ready cattle in the northern plains, but they continue to come in there and buy them. And like I said, it's mostly your regionals. We've got to take advantage of the few regionals that we have left while we still got them. They're falling like flies. Yes, we do have talk and plans of having some more slaughter capacity, and it's going to be smaller regional types, but we don't have them yet. This thing could fall on its face before we get any of these open back up. But is it a coincidence that your feedlot area that has the highest quality sells the overwhelming largest percentage of their cattle in a negotiated manner? And that's Iowa. Iowa does not feed junk. You'd be hard pressed to drop through the Iowa farmer feeders and small feedlots and find somebody that feeds junk. The worst it gets there is some yield grade 4s and 5s. They're still going to grade choice and prime. And so we talk about selling on the average and all that when lower grading cattle. Does not happen in Iowa. They have high grading cattle, they got top quality cattle, and they sell the largest percentage of their cattle in a negotiated manner compared to anybody else. But we've got to continue to do that. That's not a coincidence that they have trade in Iowa. Of course, they have regionals close by. They have the best cattle, and they sell them, and they get a higher price for them, and a lot of it's done in a negotiated manner. Let's talk about your board on Thursday. August live cattle futures down $1.15. Getting a lot of pressure on your live cattle board here late in the week. A lot of it is hedging pressure because cattle feeders are seeing that your majors have put their foot down. They've likely got enough cattle through contracts, sweetheart deals, and grids that they don't need. They're not going to allow the market to get any higher on the cattle that they purchase. They'll let the regionals do it. Of course, the regionals are the only ones that push for quality and push for volume when they need it. So we're getting a lot of hedging pressure with some of those handsome prices that we see out, for this winter and this spring coming up. And guys are losing faith that we're going to be able to get any more than that, even though we're coming into lighter numbers. And we would have the opportunity, but we don't get the opportunity anymore to gain the market position that we need. We continue to see mechanical breakdowns in your major plants. And now they're saying, well, these plants are getting older. These plants have been old. They went in there and they fixed those up. These breakdowns are starting to get a little bit curious here. That they continue to try to spread rumors that it's problems with labor. Yes, there are people. It doesn't matter what kind of a business you have right now in this day and time, that you're going to have people that refuse to show up. Well, you have to pay them more, get more people in there, and get it to where you can still operate on who shows up. But these mechanical breakdowns are getting very curious, that they continue to have a little breakdown here, a little breakdown there. We heard that in Kansas we had a water main break, on Thursday, and it limited their. I want to see the pictures of it. And not just a mechanical breakdown that allows your packers to ease off on their hours and not be responsible for having to pay those workers. But, the inability for your cattle industry to take advantage of the opportunity to get higher prices is what's hurting your live cattle futures. The only people that are on the long, they can't understand why this works this way, that they can't take advantage of fundamental reasons to get a higher market. So they're losing their faith in the ability for the market to go up, and we're seeing live cattle futures go down. October was down 70 cents at 129.60. You go on your back months, your live cattle, they were down 65 cents to up 15. August feeder cattle up 15 cents at 159.45. And it's it's going to line up with your CME cash feeder cattle index, which latest available was 158.74. So likely in the next couple of days or next couple of sessions, we'll wind up with those two meeting right up like they always do. But your September was down 70, 164.45. If your fed cattle industry can't make the packers pay more whenever they deserve it, your out fronts on your feeder cattle market are gonna falter too. But your back months on feeder cattle down 82 cents to down $1.17, and it just shows people losing faith in getting on the long side. And like I said before, a lot of hedging pressure with calves coming onto the market too. But fat cattle, we had minimal trade again on Thursday. We've had a little bit of trade every day this week in the northern plains, hardly anything in the southern plains. But Iowa sold 4,700 head confirmed on Thursday, 11,800 head for the week, and that's very light so far. Going to need to be significant trade on Friday here, and your packers feel like they've kind of got people broke down now, and they're gonna quit dreaming about this 130 from a major, because they're not going to give it. But in Iowa, they had live sales at 128. They're going to keep it back from the 130. Dress sales from 202 to 206.50. The regionals kind of got filled up, and we didn't see any 208 in Iowa on Thursday. Nebraska, 5,200 head confirmed on Thursday, only 12,500 head for the week. Live sales from 125 to 129. Dress sales, are not doing too awful well, with $2 to mostly all 202, and that's pretty much your market that we've seen so far dressed in Nebraska on a large volume. Kansas, like I said, 500 head or just short of that confirmed on Thursday. That's all they've had all week. And they're not, we're not lacking of feedlot cattle in Kansas, but we can't sell them negotiated. The only price they could get was 121. Texas did better than that. Texas, 3,100 head on Thursday and about 3,800 head for the week is all, but live sales from 122 to 123. 123, that's something new that we've seen In the southern plains, it's a long shot from 130 and a long way back from the northern plains, but that's the best we've had in the southern plains for quite a while. Box beef cutout values have seemed to kind of hit a lull right in here. They backed up the last couple of sessions for the first time in several weeks. It was up a little bit on Thursday, so kind of hitting in here right about where supply and demand meet. But choice cuts on Thursday afternoon, 347.27. That was up just 38 cents. And even though some of your other products are falling off and not seeing a big gain, ribs are still the highest they've ever been in history. So these packers are making big money. Selects, $319.59 on Thursday afternoon. That was actually up $3.90 after 2 sessions of selects being down pretty big. Your slaughter, 463,000. And then that's not going to be as heavy as that because we did see that slowdown in Kansas there at a major plant. But 463,000 through Thursday, that's 16,000 less than last week, 9,000 less than the same week a year ago. They're just slowing down the change speeds. They're just going to try to get these feedlots at their breaking point where they'll puke the cattle to them at steady or just maybe a buck higher, and they're not going to allow the market to get to 130 if they can keep from it. Your actual slaughter information come in for the week ending August 14th. Had your dressed steer carcasses averaging 898. That was up another 2 pounds, and we've seen these carcass weights come up a little bit the last couple of weeks, and it's just kind of a result of some of these cattle feeders waiting on that market. They've been staring at these big prices on futures here for several months. They think that the market ought to be in the 130s somewhere. We're seeing 140 out there in spring, and then they're waiting on the market and not getting many cattle sold, and so we're seeing an increase in steer carcass weights. But what else is going on? We'll talk about Joplin Regional Stockyards. They're going to have that primetime livestock video on Tuesday. They normally have them on Thursday, but now on this Thursday, they announced that they're going to have it on Tuesday of this next week, August the 31st. If you got consignments, you need to get a hold of somebody, get them in, got to get the contracts in because they are going to have that right there in the barn on Tuesday, August the 31st for your primetime livestock video. Let's talk about your markets in the brick and mortar sale barns. Real-time index on DV auction on Thursday afternoon, 157.53. That was up another 92 cents, so continuing to gain ground there. We had a lot of good sales. Yearlings still bringing it all, especially your green grass yearlings. A lot of them are in a fairly thin condition in some drought regions, selling really, really well and still outstanding demand for them. Big sales on Thursday. Winter livestock, Pratt, Kansas, 2,400 head. Pretty good run for them. The yearling steers, and this is from your federal state market report here, but it made more sense than usual. Yearling steers, $4 to $7 higher. Big feeding calves that are big enough they got to go on to feed right away, and no condition for them to graze anywhere. $2 to $4 lower. Your lighter weight calves were sharply higher, as much as $10 higher. Big stick out quote on calves with some fancy steer calves, 42 head of them, weighed 595 in Pratt, Kansas at 191. Big time price. The heifers on hand, pretty much all weights, sold from $5 to $10 higher. Another stick out quote from Pratt Livestock was a big run of steers there, 96 head, big load, too big to haul probably, 840 pound steers at 165. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, 2,500 head there. Market Reporter had it really wacky there, just called it kind of uneven. But they had a group of light green yearling steers there, 64 head, weighed 784 at 168.75. Big time quote there. How about Dakota Davis at Enid Livestock Market? I mentioned their consignments on our last visit. They had a really good sale there. I talked to him on Thursday. He auctioneers his own sale there, and he said he doesn't remember a time when it was more fun to sell cattle. He had buyers in there that wanted to buy the cattle and were readily bidding on them. Sold 249 head of 839 pound steers at 162.85. Big time quote for the Southern Plains. How about Mitchell Livestock? Mitchell, South Dakota, they had 4,100 head there. Feeders were steady to $4 higher. The lighter weight calves, a light test on them, had a lower undertone, but they had some green yearlings there, likely out of a drought condition. 86 head, weighed 827 at 165.10. How about out east? Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky. Look at these strings and loads that they had there that I pulled from Cattle Market Central. A couple of stickouts there in this grouping that I pulled out was 133 steers, weighed 710 at 166.50, and 75 head of 680-pound steers in Stanford, Kentucky, bring 170.60. They've got a lot of freight to go on them before they get somewhere to go on feed. How about another stickout quote? Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota. It's another place that I told you about their consignments on our last visit. They sold 60 head of 893-pound steers at $161. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Presho Livestock in Presho, South Dakota. Auctioneer Zach Ballard, he gave me the quotes on those, said the Cash Ranch had 15 loads of green grass yearling steers come in there. 15 loads of them, averaged 870 pounds with a price of $167. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.